this evening. Welcome everybody. Uh, Sorry, I'm a little disheveled. It's been a long day. So I appreciate everybody for joining us tonight. Tonight we've got Dan, Alex, myself, Josh, Dave, and Blunty, and hopefully we'll have Rob here shortly. I want to welcome you all to our town hall meeting tonight. We've got a couple things I want to kind of just shout out. First is, and let me share my screen here, get the right thing. First thing I'd like to shout out is definitely our Help Us Raise the 250 gram limit campaign that we've got going on. And we've got our link on our webpage that will help you get to that point. And what we've got here is a memo that you can utilize to send to your Congress person, both your representatives and your senators. Sorry, representative and senators. Let me get that straight here. I know what I'm talking about. It's fine.
Is it wrong just to say your
Well,
representatives? Is that really only just
you
half
could,
of them?
yes.
I think it
Yeah, I
is.
mean, you
Yeah.
could.
Well, it's less than half because your representative implies your congressional representative, not the senator.
Yeah.
It's a different chamber.
So, and in case you're wondering how this works, usually you have one representative for your district, and then you have two senators for your state if you're new to civics. Um, but we've got the memo here that you can utilize. You can copy and paste this. This is a campaign that it is okay to copy and paste for, unlike NPRMs that come through from the FAA. You can definitely copy and paste this if you want to add something to it, something personal, that kind of thing. That goes a long way as well. And then we've also got, if you're a member of the FTCA, we support you there too. And there's the same memo, but with FTCA slant. So we definitely do want to support that as well. If you're looking for specific your representatives, you can click on these links here, which will take you to both the United States House of Representative page. You can just enter your zip code and get your representative from there. And then if you're looking for your senators, you can click here, which takes you to the United States Senate. So you click on your state. So for me, it's Arizona. I've got these two lovely people here, Miss Kristen Sinema and Mr. Mark Kelly, who represent my state. So these would be the people that I would contact.
And Senator Sinema is also the chair of the Senate Aviation Subcommittee, so a very important individual. If you are in Arizona, please be sure to contact Senator Sinema.
Yep, absolutely. And to know who is on those committees, we also have these links down below. So, as an example, if I were to click on the Senate Commerce, you can see right here, this is exactly what Dave was talking about. Ms. Sinema is the subcommittee chair for the Subcommittee on Aviation Safety Operations and Innovations. So, as well as the other members of that subcommittee. So these would be the primary people, but I mean, let's be honest. Let's contact everybody. So that's the best way to get the message out. And I want to put a shout out to all of the folks recently who have made videos on this subject, utilizing this campaign. There are many people who have made videos, have made content related to this. We appreciate that. This is the way that we make this campaign go viral. This is probably one of the even more viral at this point than the remote ID campaign. And this is the way this needs to roll.
So can
So
we
we
take
appreciate that.
one step
Go
back
ahead.
and say, what is this campaign? What are we trying to do? Why are
Absolutely.
we trying to do it? Why do we think it's even remotely possible that we could achieve such a thing?
So the key point to this campaign is to take the 250 gram lower bound limit that has existed for several years now, in which you don't have to register, and if you don't have to register, you don't have to have remote ID, and seeking to raise that to 1 kilogram. The reason being is if we can effectively raise that limit up, that raises the registration limit up, which also eliminates, at this point, eliminates remote ID for anything under 1 kilogram. So this gives the autonomy for the hobby community, the recreational community, to fly unimpeded and continue to do so. So if we can raise that limit, we can remove some of the restrictions when it comes to remote ID, to registration, eliminate privacy concerns, all those different things. And privacy concerns is something I'll bring up here in a little bit with an article. But
and why now is that we are just in front of the FAA Reauthorization Act. Every 5 years, the FAA gets their budget as well as their mandates, their marching orders for the next 5 years. So last one was 2018. We're anticipating the FAA Reauthorization Act of 2023. We've been in touch with congressional staffers on the aviation subcommittee in the House. And so the timing is good, but the timing is now. So we urge you to please do this now.
So because we've been in contact with some people, we have some hope that we'll be able to make some sort of influence and possibly get this into the Reauthorization Act. And we're going to try to work that, by talking to those staffers and the people writing this legislation. But we're also hoping that everybody out there is contacting their representatives, their congresspeople, and so that when they're on committees, when they're talking about it, they're like, oh yeah, I've got some people, some constituents who are bugging me about this. I know what this 250 gram thing's all about. I agree with them. If it's something I have to vote on or not, I'm going to vote for it. That kind of thing, right? Am I correct in that?
So here's the deal. It's a two-part thing, right? So the first part is that we're doing the work on the front side to get this added into the bill as it's being written. Okay? And then the reason behind the campaign is if that does not succeed, we have a second chance through the amendment process on bills to get this added in. So it's a twofold thing. So if we reach out to the specific people, the specific senators and representatives who are working to write this legislation on the front side, and you're contacting your folks, they're going to see that this matters to their constituents, which means that it'll matter in the legislation. Being that doesn't work, then we've also got the amendment process. When the bill goes to the House or the bill goes to the Senate, then people can offer up amendments and say, hey, I had this many constituents contact me. I need to push this amendment so that we can get it added in that way. So it's a two-prong tactic.
Yeah, I imagine that the amendment process will be rather brief. That we will have so that the House staff is trying to get the House bill passed by the end of July. Then this is a bipartisan set of bills. So that meaning there are two bills being written, one in the House, one in the Senate. The Senate bill will go on a parallel track. Then conferees will meet representatives from the House of Representatives and from the Senate in conference and rationalize any differences that they have between the two bills and come up with effectively a hybrid or a third bill that both chambers will then vote on. So it's just as Josh said, in that period, there will be some back and forth. My conservative view of trying to plan and project and drive, let's get this done now.
Yeah, 100%. So it's a big deal. It can open up a lot of possibilities for the recreational community, and by and large, this is literally a recreational push. This is not, Part 107 will already require remote ID. This is a recreational exclusive kind of push. So
right. This doesn't change the rules for manufacturers when they're building commercial drones. They already have to have remote ID. Those rules are already in place. This doesn't affect this. This is for your home built custom drone you're building for yourself for recreational use, right?
Yep.
So
44,809. Right.
why 1 kilogram? Why not 500
Oh,
grams? Why not 2 kilograms?
well, I mean, twofold at least from my perspective, and feel free to chime in. The 250-gram limit. Blunty did a ton of research on the origin of this, and it goes way back. And at this point in history, in current day, material sciences and whatnot have come such a long way in terms of the way that materials react in a crash that are much different than they were in the Blunty, correct me, 1800s when this was originally created.
1896.
1896. So um material sciences has come a long way, and so in the case of an impact that could injure a person or a piece of property, or even collide, God forbid, with some other kind of aircraft, the situation is much different with modern materials, especially the ones that we utilize for our multi-rotors, our model airplanes, that kind of thing. So a lot of this stuff fragments upon impact. It bends. It doesn't impart as much force as a
Moves
chunk
away.
of metal, essentially. So, yeah, there's all kinds of different ways that these things kind of lack the same force that a chunk of metal, a 250-gram chunk of metal, would create. So, that's a big deal. Secondary to that, our goal is to a kilogram will take into effect a lot of the, I would say probably 90% of recreational aircraft, and allow us to have that greater freedom. But if things also could fall on their face and we only get 500 grams, that's still a win. That still covers a good chunk of aircraft.
And certainly, as
from my
this
point of view,
also encompasses fixed wing radio control, this focuses, just as Josh was saying, a good percentage of aircraft, but smaller aircraft, particularly on fixed wing. So if you're flying in your backyard, or if you're flying at a schoolyard or a churchyard or a park, then the objective here is to allow you to keep to be able to do that. And if it's a larger aircraft, that would continue to be flown at a dedicated flying area.
And doesn't the AMA have a category called a park flyer? Is that right? Is that a
Park
what
pilot,
weight limit is that?
2 pounds.
2.2 pounds.
Okay,
Two.
so 2 pounds,
2
and the 1 kilogram 1 kilogram is 2.2 pounds roughly, right?
Correct. And speaking of other community-based organizations, as of this morning, we now have all 4 CBOs are supporting this effort to raise the lower bound to 1 kilogram. So we got STEM plus C today, and we had a good conversation with the AMA last Friday and gained their agreement.
Yep.
So all 4 of us are in concert.
So that's a big deal, and to get everybody on the same page and push forward from there. So really,
do we have any long-term plans for anything beyond 1 kilogram? Dave?
So it's going to take a while, but as Josh was
5 years.
as Josh was describing, we have 250 grams, which was a number that had no science and no real thought behind it, other than it was dreamt up in 1896 as the lethality of a projectile. So we've got better science, we have better math, and we have recommended, and we being was a tasking group of a FAA Advanced Aviation Advisory Committee, TG11, where there's a great write-up on target level of safety. And so this is a set of factors that takes into account population density, population exposed, as well as the frangibility of the aircraft. So considering things like the density and how the material deforms. And so if you're thinking about a crash helmet absorbs energy with a hard shell that cracks, as well as a soft inner shell that protects your head and keeps your brain from moving too quickly, which is so it's rapid acceleration that's really bad for our heads.
So we need
So
to
it's
put
things like
helmets on our
that.
drones?
Well, making drones or UAS out of foam is a good solution for a lot of this, and that's in fact exactly what Google Wing has done with their delivery drone. It has a fuselage made of foam, so some really great and bright engineers there.
Foam racing drones. Gonna
So-
be
There you
interesting.
go.
So, for
That
example,
would
if
be, that would be fun.
Shaving
if the
those
rules
brains.
were to change such that they were based on target level of safety, you could have like a 5-pound foam aircraft because you know when it hits somebody, it's going to fall apart and it's not going to kill them. Versus maybe you got a 5-pound lead ball of a drone that's going to hurt somebody, but they
That's
take that
right.
into consideration.
And where are you flying it? So if you're out in the middle of the desert, you know,
Who cares?
have a ball.
Right.
And so it works on its probability and probability of losing control and probability of lethality. So this is a much better way to think about it. It's what we've proposed to the FAA back in 2021. Still waiting on an answer, and this came up again in AAAC Tasking Group 14 as well. So
But
it's gaining a lot of support.
like you said, if that goes anywhere, we're likely looking at many years into the future before that would make its way into regulations. Whereas
10
something
years, 10
something
years
like
wouldn't surprise me.
sure, like taking the limit from 250 grams to 1,000 grams or 1
Can happen
kilogram
as soon as
is
soon as it
simple
could
to
be.
understand. It could happen in this next reauthorization act, and who knows, by next
Right,
year we could be all set.
We know that there are not a lot of changes, but we know that, I mean, this is changing a single number in a 44809, the exception for recreational UAS. So it's a small change that would have a significant positive impact on recreational hobbyists. Can't fly in
So-
the desert, lots of wild.
depends. That depends. As
So,
somebody who lives in the
one other
desert,
thing
that
I wanted to bring up is I wanted to ask everybody here, like, how can we raise awareness for this issue? How can we get more people to fill this out? How can we spread the word? How can we get bigger news organizations involved? How can we get more YouTube channels to post videos and information about it? Everybody here, if you've got your own YouTube or Instagram, spread the
Shout it
word,
out.
share it, give us ideas.
if you've got a friend
But-
that is a YouTuber or a content creator or Instagrammer or whatever, talk to
Yeah,
them
you don't-
about it.
Yeah, you don't need to be a drone pilot. You don't need to be an FPV or RC. It's if you know someone and you can help, please do.
So yeah, definitely a big deal. Are we going to have representation at Rampage?
Don't think so.
I don't think so this year. I think Alex was there last year.
Year before last year.
The year before last. Yeah, we can only make it out to so many, and we can do that thanks to everybody who becomes a member, signs up. We can make it out to events. Normal life permitting, absolutely.
If other people are planning to be there and want to help represent us, that would be great. We could probably provide you with a bunch of stickers or something if that would help.
Yeah, and some documentation too. When's the deadline for the reauth bill? So they're looking to have it out into the wild July, right?
Right. They want to pass the House piece of it by July. And then there's a parallel Senate bill, then conference, and then this normally has to get locked down by October. So, we need to, common sense says next couple of weeks is the smart time for us to get in front of this because we've got some great staffers, who have been receptive or interested, and they are writing the bill.
So, and this is not going to be one of those moments in Congress where they fight over stuff. They would sooner shut down the government than not pass a FAA reauthorization bill. We all saw what happened. Was it a month or two ago when we had a bug in the FAA's air traffic control
NOTAM.
system,
Right? In their NOTAM system.
and the
And that
country nearly
wreaked
fell
havoc.
apart in a day.
Well,
Right.
they all have to fly home after they vote on the bill, so they're not gonna
Right.
vote it down and not be able to fly home.
Right. The record on the last bill in 2018 in the Senate was 100-0. We don't get a lot of those lately, so
No.
we'll be watching this one carefully.
So,
Yeah,
all right. So hopefully
absolutely. A lot of big
I've
money
done.
behind this.
Yeah. So hopefully I've done this topic justice. Hopefully everybody can help. Hopefully just if you do nothing, just send it in to your representatives and your senators.
And like Alex
that's-
posted in the chat, we've got the easy to remember website raisingthelimit.org. We're also trying to spread the hashtag, the same thing, raisingthelimit.org, just to help us get the word out.
Yep, 100%. So,
And if you have time, Joshua Bardwell's video this afternoon is fantastic. He hit all of the key points. In addition, we've got Drone and Sundry. Josh Bixler and I were there on that last Tuesday.
Drone
And
Camps did a
also-
great video.
Yep. Really appreciate that. Appreciate
Many
that
others.
from Drone Camp. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the support for the community. This is a great thing to see, and this
And here's
crosses RC as well as all drones and including FPV.
Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, guys. We need your help to keep this going. This doesn't, what we don't want is this to become viral this week and just fall by the wayside next week. This needs to continue for the next couple of weeks so that we can continue to get this message out. So please, please, please share it. Even if you're posting on Facebook about something completely random, #raisingthelimit.org. Just keep that going. Keep those clicks going. It does nothing in terms of money for us. It's literally just about getting the message out. So, all right.
And in addition, we are in the process of writing a more comprehensive document that we will submit to both the House Aviation Subcommittee and the Senate Aviation Subcommittee on behalf of FPVFC and FTCA. And so we will share that and welcome comments. We'll create probably a short comment period of our own and then get that going. I really want to get that into the various committees.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So with that being said, I wanted to bring up this privacy issue that we have, and this is specific to DJI, but this particular hacker tool can pinpoint a DJI drone operator's exact location. So there's a reason consumer drones have evolved from an expensive toy into a tool of war. They can perform high-altitude surveillance, carry out reconnaissance, or even deploy weapons with the operator safely hidden away as far as miles away. But hackers are revealing that for quadcopters sold by the world's biggest drone manufacturers, operators aren't nearly as hidden as they might think. In fact, these small flying machines are continually broadcasting their pilots' exact locations from the sky, and anyone with some cheap radio hardware and a newly released software tool can eavesdrop on those broadcasts and decode them to extract their coordinates.
I think TLDR on this one is basically like they made a third-party aeroscope, right? So for anybody who doesn't know, aeroscope is a DJI tool that you can use to locate DJI drones because they all submit DJI drone ID over the air. And aeroscope has been used in a lot of variety of ways, basically, to track them. DJI has sold an aeroscope device, which they just recently stopped selling, which is the aeroscope. But, now basically, along with this, there's been open drone ID stuff for a while. But yeah, now it's just getting more public that there's a third-party application to track these, just like you would a typical aeroscope device with a SDR radio and stuff. So.
Yeah, and DJI has.
If you purchased a normal any DJI drone above 250 grams, it has remote ID in it, so you can pick up an Android phone and get this information because that drone is going to be transmitting remote ID.
Yeah, when you read this article, that's what pops into your mind. It's like, well, wait until they find out about remote ID. Like it's
Well,
not
they
something you have to
freak out
reverse
now.
engineer or hack. It's just intentionally there.
Well, the
Exactly.
thing with this is it could also be exploited to actually force land a drone versus remote ID. You can't do that.
Agreed.
Right.
Good point, Alex.
And the other flip side is DJI has long claimed that this information is encrypted, and through the use of this tool, they're finding out that's not exactly the case.
I mean, I'll just say we've known that for a while now, but
Yeah.
I mean, DJI admitted that publicly when they lied about it twice, and then got called out on a news article like 6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah. So just throwing that out there. But here's the deal: is obviously we're not using our tools for any kind of warfare or anything like that. However, it puts the operator's safety in jeopardy, right? So if you're out flying and somebody wants what you're flying, that remote ID gives them an opportunity to discover your location. So
yeah, that's a good point, Josh. And we spoke out strongly against this.
Mm-hmm.
Every time we get a chance to talk to the FAA, this topic comes up, that the location of the operator is a real issue for us. And Vic Moss over in Drone Service Provider Alliance has gone to the top of the FAA UAS integration office and asked for action to be taken to look into this, because the feeling is that this is a problem not just for recreational but for Part 107 operators or pilots as well.
Yeah.
With listed assaults across the country. I mean, this is not theoretical. This is an issue.
Yes. So just wanted to highlight that and bring up that privacy issue.
Is it actually accurate that this can control drones? I wasn't aware that there's anything about Aeroscope that can control anything. Are you sure? Because I did a lot of research for the show, and I couldn't find anything about control, like auto landing or anything, because that's all within the operator, not the Aeroscope.
Maybe Alex is breaking some NDA of something he knows.
Yeah, I mean, because that's a huge difference versus them being able to do something to your drone versus just see the info. And my understanding is it's only see the info. Yeah.
Yeah. There's
I mean, as far as I know, that's not over DJI Drone ID. You cannot do that. That's my understanding. So.
It might not be the drone ID, but there are ways to do it.
Does anybody know for sure? Would this drone ID be able to see anything with, say, a Vista in it, or an O3 Air unit, or the DJI Potato?
No.
It's just like completely invisible. It's not sending out anything.
The Potato might, and the Avata might.
Okay.
I don't know.
Obviously, you wouldn't have a ground station GPS or anything, but
yeah, our air units do not.
Well, I mean, your ground station GPS would be your phone, right? If you've got that hooked up, but
like in an Avata's case, that would be with the updated to the latest firmware where it's got the remote ID built in. I assume that would also be in the DJI broadcast.
All right. So this is if you're new here, I apologize. This is me nerding out. So most of these guys know, or if you've been here for a while, I like space drones. So Perseverance has long been a topic for me, but they are now designing a new drone to go to Saturn. Sorry, not Saturn. Titan, one of Saturn's moons. So they are testing this 600 miles north of the Arctic Circle in a small island called Devon. Hot in this cold, dry, windy Arctic desert that is nearly always light in the summer and always dark in the winter. It's one of the northernmost craters on Earth. And they are designing a new mission. It's to go to Saturn's moon Titan, and they're calling it the Dragonfly mission. And it's supposed to launch in 2026. So missions like these are an inspiration for what they're calling GRAPE, which is a gamma rotorcraft for analog planetary environments. And they're using this to search for the chemistry of life. So I'm not going to play the video because, we all know how video works over my interwebs while doing a broadcast. But this is a new drone, a new space drone for me to geek out of for the next several years. So, and in case you don't know, Perseverance was a drone that they sent to Mars. It was, I think, meant to fly like 5 missions and ended up flying like, 50, 60 missions.
Yeah.
Like
Ingenuity was the helicopter, and
Ingenuity.
Isn't it still flying?
Yeah, it was.
It is.
Yes,
As
it was
far
just
as I
like
know,
5
yeah.
missions, and it's still active now. Yeah, which is pretty insane that we went from like, oh my God, there's going to be a drone on Mars to, yep, there's a drone on Mars. It's still flying. It flies all the time. Takes pictures, guides the rover around, all kinds of stuff.
It's the coolest
Yeah.
thing ever.
It's wild.
So, and from the picture here, and I didn't play the video, but it looks like it's this one, as it looks like, is a proper quadcopter, whereas Ingenuity was a dual propeller rotorcraft. So definitely something cool. So we'll keep a tabs on this, and hopefully we'll get some more information on this. So this is something that Dave sent me, and I thought this was probably one of the coolest things ever. This has got thrust vectoring on a quadcopter, and it utilizes thrust vectoring to keep this instrument that's on the front, which is a ultrasonic tester for testing the integrity and wall thickness of pipes, scaffolding, stuff like that, and it keeps it steady for those precision measurements. So it's got thrust vectoring technology to achieve the most stable and precise flight of any drone yet, designed for industrial work. And that little probe on the front, you can see here, it's measuring the wall thickness of these pipes to gauge for structure stability and whatnot. So able to get to
name of this company is
Skygauge Robotics.
Yeah. So I was blown away. I mean, this is really clever, and this to me looks like a startup that some clever guy, and they're all over on the website. They're all over the topic of, look, we can save you money, and we're not putting people at risk, and this does inspections so much more quickly, and both they're doing videos in process plants, and so this is great. This is just the sort of thing we need in terms of drone for good.
I'm interested to see how this stuff works out. To me, it seems crazy to put 8 gimbals, servos, like all this stuff to leveling instead of 1 gimbal for the tool. But I'm very interested to see if that works out. This seems like, expensive and easily breakable.
Well, I think, and I don't know much about ultrasonic testing, but if putting a gimbal on the tool was a thought process, because the movement of the tool can create maybe an inaccuracy in the measurement. I'm not.
I mean, the
sure.
drone's going to be moving then too. Like something's going to be, you know what I mean?
You've got
you've got 8 points that's got to be moving instead of 1, and like
that
drone. I don't know, it'll be interesting.
The drone itself looks like a platform for all kinds of uses, and maybe it's some of the other uses that are more important.
Yeah.
Oh,
I just can see the zeros on the invoice. See the zeros.
Yeah.
So you can.
I mean, this lots of zeros,
Look
but
at this.
this is a commercial. I love this.
Yeah, but if the other option is like dangling a person out of a helicopter, that's got a lot of zeros too.
Yeah, many zeros and very dangerous and lots of time. So this is the notion of shutting down a process plant is like.
Interesting. So I just thought it was super cool. So thanks for that. All right, and then last but not least, a little bit of Air Force news. So Air Force wants more planes faster, plus 1,000 drone wingmen. And so the TLDR on this one is that they're looking to bring on about 300 F-35s, obviously a manned combat aircraft. And for every F-35, they will get they're looking for 2 unmanned drones to fly wingman for it, essentially. And
in deference to the International Women's Day today, we might say crewed aircraft.
Oh, yes. Crewed, uncrewed, and crewed. Sorry. So Kendall outlined the service's plans for collaborative combat aircraft, drones that will fly alongside crewed fighters. I'm going to change the word here. The service is planning to buy 10,000 CCAs, 300 F-35s will get 2 drones apiece, as will 200 of the planned next-gen air dominance aircraft. So
just to continue beating the drum, one of the key elements that we're pushing on the please send a memo to your congressional representative and senators is the source of engineers and pilots and A&P people, airframe and power plant technicians, are folks who are flying FPV and flying drones and flying RC model aircraft. And so this is an article that's all about need to hire. We need more people. We need pilots. We need drone pilots. We need crewed aircraft pilots. So this is, we know, if you talk to anyone in the aviation industry, oh, well, what hobbies did you have as a kid? Did you fly model airplanes? Well, yeah. So yet another little commercial there. Please send in those memos.
So I'm a giant movie nerd, and one of the key points in the newest Top Gun was the fifth generation fighters, right? Was one of the topics they pushed in there, and now we're moving into the sixth generation, and they're calling it the next generation air dominance, and those are being developed in secret. So currently, I believe the F-35s are part of the fifth gen aircraft, and they fly those out at Luke Air Force Base, which isn't too far from here. I'm always interested to see the future designs of aircraft, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see. You've got a pilot in one, and you've got two that are flying wingman, and whether those are, I know they've been doing a lot of testing with potentially autonomous as well as non-autonomous. I forget what they're calling them, friendly wingmen or something like that, aircraft. So this will be interesting to see how this flushes out. But again, more to Dave's point, the Air Force, the civilian side of aviation, none of that is going away anytime soon. And if we continue to stymie innovation by over-regulating the entry to that, which is model aircraft, it's going to affect the future workforce. So that's a big push that we're trying to hammer on. So yeah. So that's all I've got for news articles today, and I feel like I've talked up for a long time.
I just
Dave,
wanted to put in a thanks. One of the and it was one of the posts that we had from last week commented on write up on our memo and said, well, you could have written that a little better. So I asked if the individual wanted to help on a rewrite, and he did, and he sent me a great one pager. And we've been chatting, and I have stolen shamelessly from his work. So to me, this just drives home the benefit of working across large teams, working collaboratively. And so thanks for the comments, and we really appreciate the contributions, both the monetary support of FPVFC as well as folks saying, hey, I can help with that. And so really appreciate it.
So let's see. Brian says, any collaboration with general aviation groups happening? For instance, I would love to see a booth at Sun and Fun or AirVenture. Honestly, I don't think we've discussed that. So
that's a great.
that's a thought.
That's a great question. And one of the we were contemplating participation at, and this is not crewed aircraft, but Exponential's coming up in May in Denver. And so we offered a presentation, and we were declined. And so we could go as a spectator. And certainly there's always value in meeting people in the halls and chatting and networking, and I get that. Short of that, there is the attendance at any of these shows is astronomical. I think it's $600 for Exponential for 2 days. And that's just the ticket in. That's not travel. That's just the ticket through the door. And coming from Global Tech, we participated in every large technology fair and event around the world, and they had limited value in getting the word out, in networking, and in sales. And so it's a great question, but if there's one that's that folks think, yeah, this would be useful. There's a good match. Would like to hear about it. Like to think about it. We have established good connections with airframe manufacturers, as well as the crewed aircraft associations. You've heard me mention Airline Pilots Association, Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, AIA. I think it's Aerospace International Association, Helicopter Association International. So we have contacts and friends at and then name any of the airframe manufacturers, and we've got contacts there. So there are people who know us, who will support us, who will help us out. For example, one of the airframe manufacturers looked over the work that we've just submitted to the FCC Notice for Public Rulemaking. And that you can't buy that type of great consulting, so we appreciate it, and they know we're a not-for-profit, and we're helping recreational, so they're willing to take the time. So great question. Really open to events that can help get the word out and help the particularly if it's an organization that is interested in STEM, that wants to reach out to their community. That's an organization I have great interest in, because then they're newcomers that then there's a joint interest in the same community, and there might be something of real interest there.
Cool. Yeah, definitely let us know if you've got something like that, and we'll consider it. No idea is a bad idea, right? So, Dave, you got anything from an AAAC front or anything else going on?
It's not scheduled. We're wrapping up the AAAC Tasking Group 14, which is the what can industry do to help accelerate the Beyond Visual Line of Sight ARC regulations. And we are also finishing up the writing on Tasking Group 15, which is help community outreach, create a handbook, create a set of guidelines and framework, and recommend the FAA adopt what we've written and also keep the idea alive. And so but there is no date on the next AAAC, Advanced Aviation Advisory Committee meeting.
Wasn't that expected to
be
March?
Okay. Around March.
Probably like next week.
Third week. Right. It was supposed to be third week in March. Usually it's Thursday. They pushed it out. They maintain that the difference is they have a new Jay Merkel. Jay Merkel's replacement, the executive director of the UAS Integration Office, is Jeffrey Vincent. And so that was the reason why they pushed out the entire meeting.
Would get somebody up to speed, maybe. Who knows?
The Arizona Science Center.
So PB, I live in Phoenix, so if there's an opportunity there, let me know. I'm happy to do something or reach out and see what we can put on there. At minimum, I can easily reach out. The Science Center has an interest in STEM. They might be interested in helping young pilots have access to such science, tech, and engineering. I can reach out. I'll see what I can figure out. Thank you for the suggestion. Happy to do that. Let's see. Okay.
Sounding fun.
And then Blunty, you got anything for us this evening?
Nope.
Okay. Alex, anything going on?
The Global Qualifier Track Design Contest is still going on. I believe you have until the 13th to vote on the track, and Velocidrone also got a brand new update today, so that's going to be interesting. I've opened it up, played around with it a little bit today, but it's interesting. Supposedly new tracks. The user interface, the graphics.
We're not putting you on any PR for us.
Yeah, no, not at all.
It's different. It takes getting used to, but there's new features in there, so that should offset that.
I mean, the major complaint about Velocidrone was the horrible UI. Everything loaded slow. The tracks took forever to load. You can't find anything on Mac.
It was loading faster. It did load
all
a
those
lot faster.
things are fixed. So yeah, it's like a huge improvement. I would say like I was blown away by how much better it is. So.
It is faster, but the graphics, I like the older graphics, but I like the look on the older version better.
I think you're just used. I would say you're just used to it because everybody else is like, "This is horrible. Please change this." Dear God, I'm never using Velocidrone because it's so bad. I get complaints constantly when I tell people to use Velocidrone about how bad it is, how hard it is to use. It's archaic. The levels don't load. You can't search for stuff. You have to close it and open it. People were so like tilted about the old one.
So these poor developers have been busting their chops, and it's now fast, and they probably reworked all the underneath. And your reaction is, meh.
Yep. Well, that's my reaction to most things.
Well, it is. I'm with Blunty. If you use Velocidrone, take a look, because when things speed up, it's the whole experience is much better.
I've honestly I've never used Velocidrone. I've always, if I fly simulator, it's always been lift off, but
80% of the files were replaced. It was a 15 gig update, and the program's only 19 or 20 gigs. So, like, if you're still having issues, remember that, like, that's a lot to change for a company, and they only have 100 beta testers. So,
that's a big rework. Yeah, I can relate to that.
And I imagine they'll push updates out for any.
Yeah, they've been updating all day for like doing stuff. So
yeah, small bug patches.
DW, all right.
But the GQ contest is still going, so vote for your favorite GQ track, or don't complain about the selected one.
Oh, geez, Alex is getting salty today. All right.
I like the idea. I don't know if anybody saw, but Lyman put out a video about the tracks, and I think there's a good idea in there, which is next year they should anonymize the tracks, anonymize all the names.
Yeah.
So
part of the reason why
possible.
Part of the reason why that wasn't done earlier is because it wasn't thought of earlier, and then it was only thought of after one of the tracks was released a little early.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's the only reason why
it
wasn't initially. For sure. But yeah, it's going. I'm fairly certain it will be anonymized next time.
The other thing I would consider is, like, it seems like there maybe should be a barrier to let people vote. Like, I've never flown a GQ in real life, so should I really get to vote? Because I don't have to design the track or put anything up or fly through it or crash a quad and break anything, or I don't have to set up the track. I don't have to know where the racing things are. I just pick the one I like the most, and then, like, that's not necessarily like the best thing. Yeah.
There's part of that is just there's a multi-GP account, but then again, there's also only 700 people who ran GQ.
Yeah.
And do we want more vote? Well, people who don't normally fly GQ, if they vote for the track and they get a track they like, will we get more people showing up? It's one of those things that we have to balance. And so far, we just have limited it to as long as you're registered on multi-GP, you can vote.
Yeah.
It's a thought process. I mean, one of the key things could be, have you logged did you log a score last season or something like that? That would be
or maybe
this
get more
year
weight or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, this year we'll also have at IO I believe everyone will be flying the GQ track first to rank pilots, I believe. And so everyone who goes to IO will have flown the GQ track. And so cool. I'm not sure there's you could skip it, but then you probably won't be able to participate in everything.
Yeah.
So
all right, Dan, you got anything for us?
I have a question for all of you. I think we've had at least a couple people tell us that when they submitted their congressional outreach letter, they received something back from them. Either it was asking for an in-person meeting or more information or something along those lines.
Or content goes here.
What kind of information, what kind of advice do we have for anybody who is in a situation like that where some of the congressional staffers or somebody is reaching back to them saying, do you have any more information? Do you want to meet with us? What else can they do?
Yeah, to me, yeah. Thanks for bringing it up, Dan. First, you all are welcome to contact any of us. If you want us with you on a conversation with your elected official, great. If not, we'll help you ghost a response and a set of questions. It's our experience working with some of the staff that are not on the aviation subcommittee that these are super bright people who just don't know anything about drones. So they're like, well, okay, well, what's the issue? What's the problem? And please, if you are working with a congressional staffer that is part of the aviation subcommittee, chances are these are young attorneys and they are extremely smart and they have been researching the heck out of this, so they probably know more about the regulations than we do. So, no need to talk about Congress. Men and women and senators, the staffers are super smart people, and they're hustling, and they're worth our time.
Yep. So reach out if you need help. That's a key point. Any one of us would be happy to sit down with you, give you the key points. If you need, if you want to Zoom us in for that meeting, or if it's local to one of us, reach out. We'll definitely have that help available. I mean, it's easy to go in with backup, right?
Yeah, good point. And yeah, I've done one of these already where a congressional staffer had a question for the person who wrote in or sent in our memo. I provided a couple of suggested answers, and I think that's going fine. And that's a good process. Whatever help we can provide, we think we're pretty knowledgeable and that we can answer those questions.
Yep. All right. Anything else for us, Dan?
No, I think that's good for me this week.
Rob, anything from you, sir? Let me there we go.
Let me unmute myself. I'm joining in from a hotel room this week. I'm at the Texas DPS Public Safety. It's a robotics summit. Lots of really cool new technology on display. There was only one thing I saw that was even related to FPV, though, and it was actually interesting. Contractors actually designed some FPV goggles that can toggle between night vision, FPV heads up, and visible display. So it's more of like a defense side thing, but it's actually pretty cool technology. It's something that wouldn't have application in our realm, but it's really cool to see that FPV is also being integrated, to keep people safe.
Love that. Boy, that sounds like a pretty nifty toy. Whoa!
Talk about dollar signs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was thinking of technology you need to hold your chin up.
Next week, Dave's got some night vision FPV goggles.
That would be awesome.
That would be fun.
That's super cool.
Wow.
But that's all I got. Just some cool information.
Well, glad you're there.
Yeah, absolutely. So if we need to make a FRIA for our local multi-GP chapter, is there a way to do it through the FPVFC, or do we need to do it through the FTCA? Our chapter is ready to start requesting FRIAs.
You could message me when just send me a message. I'll help you out.
There you go.
And to answer the question for everyone else, any one of the
where are we at as far as the FPV Freedom Coalition being ready to accept applications for FRIAs?
Yeah, what we're doing right now is asking folks to gather the appropriate information because we're still not sure that the FAA has started processing any applications. We still feel that the process is broken, and we are asking for access to the API that we know exists. So there are a number of issues. And so the FTCA folks are keying in applications. We've not started that yet, but we're a couple of us have on instances, so we can put one in, and we have we've submitted that everyone you see on this grid has provided their IDs as the official email IDs of FPV Freedom Coalition, so they will be accepted by the FAA. So we can, Alex, if you want to submit an application, certainly you can do that.
And Alex, does the multi-GP, have they sent out any information to the chapters yet about FRIAs?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
All right.
So there's no official multi-GP way to do that yet, but they're working on that between multi-GP, AMA, and whatever.
Now, AMA has started, and they're sending out. So they've submitted a similar thing to what FTCA is. So it's a blank, or it's a form. You fill out the form, all of the appropriate information, except the default is a center and a radius. So not many circular flying fields that I'm aware of, but that's what the AMA is requesting.
Yeah, and here's the deal, guys: is that we're not submitting applications because we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that your application is actually going to be effective
The first time.
So yeah, that's the difference.
For example, we know that there are hundreds of applications that were submitted from individuals, but not through a CBO. They need to be culled. When we ask the FAA, what's the schedule and plan to cull those that are not, not applications that were not submitted through a CBO? No response. So we know those are in hundreds. And if you think, okay, the turnaround time is 4 months each. We don't know how many people are working on this. It's not clear anyone's working on it yet. This is not a process that's working in a big hurry.
Yeah.
So this is why the number 2 issue right behind raise the registration mass of 250 grams is FRIA process, and this is very disturbing.
Yeah. So just FYI, we just want it to be effective for everybody. So that's
good.
That's
good question. Yeah, and that was 1T who brought that. Yep. Thank you. Yep. Didn't mean to not talk about FRIAs. It's top of mind. It's one of the things we're writing the detail in the FAA Reauthorization Act. We're asking Congress to step in and insist that there be an appropriate process, one of which is to get the size right. As we've mentioned on previous calls, the FAA estimates 4,000 FRIAs as a steady state and what their total objective is. So that's one FRIA for every, I think it's like 450 people who fly UAS. So in other words, if you look at the FAA estimates that are 1.78 million UAS operators, you round that off to 1.5 million. And you get, if you assume, well, let's see, how about 20 people for every FRIA? That's 75,000 FRIAs. So the FAA and their estimate of 4,000, we don't get it. We just don't get it. It's an order of magnitude plus times 2 off. So we're asking an appropriate number as well as an appropriate process to support a reasonable number of FRIAs.
Yeah. And
the process means turnaround time as well on the applications. We have no timeline, but it might take 4 months, which is the answer we got on February 1st.
Yeah.
So. Not that we're a little agitated.
Not at all. We're fine. It's cool. Everything's fine.
I just checked my Drone Zone account. I have the status is still submitted for all of my pre-applications, and none of them are under review or being looked at or denied.
Right. And no one's received any responses, like extra questions about them or anything.
At this point, I'd like to at least see denied on one of them, so I know what was wrong with it and that they're actually starting the process.
Yeah, like you're saying, there's no evidence they're working on it yet.
Like the first one I submitted, I'm expecting to get denied, so we'll see.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Same here.
It was my backyard, so.
Yeah,
I'm expecting that to get denied, and we'll see when that happens, and we'll know that the FAA is looking at them.
Right. Yeah. Right. Sure. Good litmus.
All right. So with that,
any other questions around the room?
Yeah.
That's good. Thanks for bringing that up, folks.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Hopefully tonight was informative, helpful. Please help us spread the word. RaisingTheLimit.org, #RaisingTheLimit. Super important. We appreciate everybody who's done so already. And those who have made content relating to it, keep doing it. Let's keep driving this. let's keep this going. It's a big deal. I think everybody understands that, and I think it can have a good impact on the hobby. So that's my 2 cents. And
Yep.
yeah.
In 2 weeks from now, we should hopefully have Josh reviewing some other news articles all about us trying to raise the limit, right? It should be on all of those, on Wired. It should be
I'm
on
hoping
Drone and
so.
Sundry. It should be on all those places you're getting your drone news from.
I'm hoping
right.
so. All right, guys. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.